She threw away 6 years of marriage with a smile, then tried to bury me with lies. But I exposed her on the night of her biggest career moment, and the world watched her fall in real time. This isn't just revenge. It's what happens when the truth refuses to stay buried. Hi. My name's Daniel, I'm 33, and for most of my adult life, I thought I had love all figured out. I wasn't the hopeless romantic type, more the logical, grounded one. But when Claire walked into my life 8 years ago, everything changed. She was magnetic. Funny, cultured, driven. The kind of woman who made people stop mid-conversation just to watch her smile. We dated for 2 years, got married 6 years ago. I gave her everything: loyalty, stability, comfort, a shared dream of the future. And she gave me nothing but a performance. We weren't struggling. That's what makes this part even more cruel. Claire wasn't unhappy. At least, not in the traditional sense. She had what she needed. Her art studio funded by my salary. A Tesla I surprised her with after her birthday meltdown last year. A savings account with both our names, but only my deposits. She never worked a traditional job after we got married. Her art never sold, and that was fine by me. I wanted her to chase her dreams. I believed in her. Hell, I paid the gallery fees myself more than once just so she wouldn't feel like she'd failed. I used to joke that I was the patron of her passion. But now I realize, I was just the fool funding her freedom. Our 6-year anniversary was coming up, and I'd been planning something big. Not just dinner. Not just flowers. Claire always hinted about Italy, a honeymoon we never had. I cashed out part of my work bonus and booked 10 days in Florence, including cooking classes, wine tastings, and a villa overlooking vineyards. But I didn't tell her yet. I wanted it to be perfect, a moment she'd remember forever. Instead, she gave me a moment I'll never forget. For all the wrong reasons. The week before our anniversary, there were signs. Her mood was distant, not hostile, just absent. Like she was rehearsing something. She stopped sleeping next to me. Said she had a stiff neck and took the guest room for a few nights. I kissed her forehead before bed one night and she flinched. I asked what was wrong. Just tired, she said. But I love you. Don't worry. And I didn't. Because I was an idiot. The night before our anniversary, I came home late from work. I'd spent the day finalizing the Italy itinerary and picking up a necklace I custom ordered, a pendant in the shape of a paintbrush and camera, representing both her passions. When I walked in, the house was dark except for the kitchen. Claire was there, laughing softly on the phone. I paused in the hallway, out of sight. And I heard her say, "Tomorrow. Yeah, he's taking me to that place again. I'll act surprised. Then I'll hand him the envelope." My heart stopped. I stepped out like nothing was wrong. She turned around and smiled. Smiled. "Babe. You're home. I was just ordering something for tomorrow." "Who were you talking to?" "My sister. Planning a surprise. You'll see." She wrapped her arms around me and kissed me. And I let her. Even though everything in my gut screamed that something was wrong. The next morning, I woke up alone. Again. A note sat on the kitchen counter. "Dress nice tonight, smile, can't wait. Happy almost anniversary." She texted me at noon with a photo of the dress she planned to wear. The same one from our wedding reception. She was weaponizing my nostalgia. That evening, we walked into the Pearl Room, the place I proposed, and she gasped like she didn't expect it. She played the part perfectly. Toasted to 6 more beautiful years and cried when I handed her the gift-wrapped photo album of our memories. "You're too good to me," she whispered. And then she handed me an envelope. It was gold-foiled. Elegant. Like a Hallmark card. Inside? Divorce papers. Dated 2 months ago. She had signed them. filed them, and waited to give them to me on the night I gave her Italy. I looked up, speechless. She blinked, pretending to be sorry. "You'll thank me one day," she said. "I needed to wait until you were calm. You wouldn't have listened otherwise." No screaming, no fighting, just ice. She left the restaurant before dessert, and I sat there alone, surrounded by candles, staring at an empty seat across from me. Happy anniversary. I didn't go home that night. I sat in my car in the restaurant's parking lot for over an hour, staring at the divorce papers she handed me like a party favor. The ink was dry. She hadn't just decided this last week. Claire had been planning this, plotting, waiting for the maximum impact. My first thought wasn't even anger. It was, why? I was the one who stayed. Through her depression, through her miscarriages, through her career restarts, her silent phases, her panic attacks. I was her anchor. I chose to be. So why did she treat me like the villain? I finally drove home close to midnight, expecting the house to be dark and empty. But it wasn't. Her car was gone, but the guest room door was slightly open. Inside, the bed was perfectly made. Too perfect. I looked around, something felt off. That's when I noticed the drawers. Empty. Her closet? Half empty. The boxes of her paintings? Gone. She hadn't just left me. She had moved out. I went to the study and checked the documents drawer, our shared folder with all the house deeds, tax returns, insurance policies. All the originals were missing. Only scanned copies remained. Scans with her maiden name watermark. My heart started racing. She hadn't just ended our marriage, she'd planned to gut me legally. Quietly. Professionally. With precision. I opened my laptop to check the joint account. Balance, $217.33. It was over $62,000 last week. I froze. That money was for our Italy trip, our home renovations, our future kids' college savings. She didn't just steal my heart, she stole my life's earnings. And she did it while holding my hand and kissing my cheek and pretending to love me. The next morning, I got a call from my best friend, Jeremy. "Bro. What the hell is this?" He sent me a screenshot. Claire had posted a photo of herself sipping champagne at a rooftop bar, caption, "Free, finally. Cheers to truth." And below it, a carousel of subtle jabs. A quote about emotional abuse. A photo of our wedding ring tossed on a beach. A selfie with her best friend, Madison, captioned, "To the ones who picked me up when I was being controlled." I stared at the screen, stunned. Controlled? She was rewriting the story. That's when the text started. From my coworkers, my aunt, my old roommate, even my boss. "Hey, I'm sorry to hear about you and Claire. I had no idea you were going through that. If you need to talk, just want you to know I never believed what she implied. She had painted me as a manipulative, emotionally distant, cold husband. And people who knew me, believed her, because Claire was charming, beautiful, a survivor. And I was now the villain in her story. But here's the thing about software engineers. We know how to recover lost files. And Claire had left behind more than she realized. Starting with the second envelope she accidentally dropped behind the dresser. 2 days after Claire handed me the divorce papers, I found the envelope. It was wedged behind the dresser in the guest room. A manila folder, unmarked. At first, I thought it was junk mail she hadn't cleaned up. But inside were printouts of text messages. Not screenshots. Transcripts. Labeled and organized. Each conversation logged with a name, A date. A short description. The first label? Jared, Dubai trip planning. Claire never went to Dubai. Not with me. I sat on the floor, my hands trembling as I read through it. She had been seeing Jared for over a year. It wasn't just emotional. It wasn't just texting. They had taken a break, which she told me was a solo wellness retreat, and instead stayed together in a resort I paid for with our credit card. The worst part? They laughed about me in the messages. He still thinks I'm meditating on a mountain, smiley face emoji. Bet he's cooking again. Man really thinks garlic risotto fixes everything. Once he funds this gallery deal, I'm done. That message hit the hardest. I just wired $15,000 to a gallery for Claire's solo exhibition that week, so she could leave me and call it a celebration. There were more names. A total of 3 men. Different cities. Different roles in her life. One was her art mentor. One was an investor. The third, Jared, her escape plan. Each relationship overlapped with our marriage. And in her private notes, she referred to me as Daniel the safety net. She used me. Not once. But again. And again. And again. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break things. But I didn't. Instead, I scanned everything. Saved it to a secure drive. Printed double copies. Sent them to my lawyer. Then I looked back at my wedding photos on the wall. Claire in white, eyes shining, holding my hand. And I realized I had no idea who I married. But I was about to introduce her to someone new too. Daniel 2.0, the man she didn't expect. Not soft. Not broken. Not her safety net. After I found the transcripts, I booked a meeting with my lawyer, Vanessa Chang, a no-nonsense, razor-sharp divorce attorney I'd met years ago when helping a friend through a messy split. Vanessa didn't believe in drama. She believed in results. We met that evening at a quiet wine bar she liked, her idea, not mine. She believed a warm setting softened the sting of war planning. The bar was dimly lit, cozy, and smelled faintly of cedar and espresso. She arrived in a black suit and red lipstick, tablet in one hand, court bag in the other. I handed her the transcripts without saying a word. She read for about 15 minutes straight, flipping page after page without blinking. Then she looked up, took a sip of Pinot Noir, and said, "You've just won your divorce." She laid out a plan as if she'd been building it in her head for years. We'd counterfile within the week. Include proof of infidelity, financial manipulation, and premeditated concealment of marital assets. File for full asset recovery. Add emotional distress damages based on her defamation campaign online. Demand an injunction on the funds she transferred, plus a forensic audit of her accounts. Vanessa smiled, ice in her eyes. "You're not just divorcing her. You're burying her PR stunt with facts." I asked her if it was too aggressive. She didn't flinch. She wanted a show. Let's give her the finale she didn't script. I walked out of that bar knowing something had changed. Claire had wanted to ruin my life quietly, make me look like the bad guy, and ride into the sunset with a curated truth. But now she was about to face real consequences, not from rage, not from revenge, from precision. The next step was quiet. We weren't going to tip her off, because the night before she got served, she had another public performance scheduled. An art showcase built on my money and my trust. The night she smiled for cameras would be the last smile she faked at my expense. The first message came from Madison. Yes, that Madison, Claire's best friend, ride or die, defender in every Instagram caption annoying for a vent session. I'd seen her standing next to Claire the night she posted that free, finally photo. I never expected her to reach out. respond for a day. I wasn't sure if it was a trap. But then she sent a voice note. It was 3 minutes long. Shaky. Half whispered. She sounded tired, angry, betrayed. Claire lied to all of us, Daniel. She made it sound like you were this obsessive, controlling guy who wouldn't let her breathe. I defended her. I cut people off for her. And then she did the same thing to me. Used me. Guilt-tripped me. And now she's saying I knew everything? She's blaming me online too. She continued. And Jared? He's not her soulmate. He's her next con. She told me he has no prenup and a $3 million trust fund. She's not done using people, Daniel. But she's slipping. I can help you. We met in a park. Neutral ground. Madison brought her old phone, the one Claire used when she wanted clean chats. It still had signal, still had everything. Dozens of voice messages. Deleted chats. Financial discussions. One message chilled me. Once Daniel signs the gallery paperwork, I'll vanish. Then I'll post something about emotional growth. Let the world assume what they want. With Madison's help, we reconstructed a timeline of deceit. Claire's manipulation wasn't impulsive. It was planned by quarter, like a business strategy. She targeted me for financial safety and a reputation shield. Jared for lifestyle and PR. The gallery for clout and sympathy. Her own friends to build a loyal circle of blind supporters. She even researched false domestic abuse accusations, though she never used them, perhaps saving that as a nuclear option. Madison turned everything over to Vanessa. We now had proof of infidelity, evidence of financial fraud, intent to defame, witness corroboration of manipulation. And we still hadn't played a single public card. But that was about to change. Because Claire's art gala was this Saturday. And what she didn't know? I now owned part of the venue. Claire hosted a private dinner 2 nights before her Freedom in Bloom art gala. It was invite only, catered, with a guest list full of influencers, critics, and donors. She loved these nights, curated smiles, soft jazz, and subtle hints of suffering. She played the wounded muse like a virtuoso. I wasn't invited, of course. But my name was on the catering receipt. Because Claire had used my card. Again. She must have forgotten the auto-renewed vendor contract was still in my name. Vanessa advised against crashing the event. But I didn't have to. I let the night play out while my team, a few trusted colleagues from my own media company, set up quiet cameras and mic feeds. Public venue. Open dinner. No hidden wires. All legal. From the footage, I watched as Claire charmed her way around the room, telling each guest a slightly different version of the truth. To the curator, I left because he was afraid of my growth. To the podcast host, I found my voice after years of being controlled. To the donor, this is the first time I've ever felt safe. But in the corner, near the wine bar, Jared arrived. Late. Drunk. Claire tensed. The mask flickered. He wasn't part of her speech circuit. You told me he wouldn't fight, he hissed. You said he was too soft, too broken. Madison, wired and fearless, approached casually. Smile, Claire. You're on a very expensive camera. Claire froze. The next hour imploded in slow motion. Jared got loud. Madison played dumb. Claire tried to keep control, but her voice cracked, not out of fear, but exposure. The guests picked up on it. Her carefully controlled grief narrative shattered under the weight of truth seeping in like wine on silk. That night, I didn't sleep. Not out of regret. Out of anticipation. Because the gala was next. And her keynote the one about healing and starting over, was about to have a very different audience. The gala was held at the West Bridge Gallery, a sleek, modern space with floor-to-ceiling glass and enough marble to make a Roman senator blush. Claire stood in front of her crown jewel, a massive abstract piece called Boundless. Funny name, considering she painted it while still draining my accounts and living in my house. She wore red, the same dress from our 4th anniversary, now reclaimed, rebranded, as a symbol of independence. She took the stage with a microphone in one hand and Jared's arm in the other. It was all going to script. Until I walked in. Gasps rippled across the room. Not because of me, but because of who followed me in. Vanessa, in courtroom black. Madison, calm and collected. 2 court processors, holding sealed envelopes. And on the gallery wall, in place of Claire's next scheduled projection, a QR code. Someone in the crowd scanned it. Phones began lighting up. Murmurs turned into whispers, then full volume confusion. Because the QR code led to a Dropbox, one packed with screenshots of Claire's planning texts, voice messages plotting my public takedown, bank transfers to her secret account, Claire's recorded conversation with Jared. Once he's gone, it's just PR cleanup and I'm good. Claire stammered, tried to explain. This is harassment. It's fake. This is my night. Then Madison took the mic. No, Claire. This is your legacy. You wanted a platform, now you have one. Vanessa stepped forward and handed her the envelope. You've been served. Divorce. Asset freeze. Defamation counter. Oh, and legal claim to this venue. It was co-funded by Daniels LLC. Claire stood there, lips trembling. But the room? It applauded. Jared backed away from her like she had a disease. The sponsors whispered. The gallery director walked out. And I just turned and left. Didn't say a word. Because the truth didn't need me to scream. By morning, the gala's disaster had become a viral sensation. Someone in the audience had streamed the whole moment live. Clips exploded across TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter under hashtags like #GalaGoneWrong, #RedDressRevenge, #Art of Deception. Claire had spent months building her victim narrative. And in less than 3 minutes of raw footage, it all collapsed. Her sponsors pulled out within 24 hours. The gallery canceled the ongoing exhibition. A major art collective she'd applied to issued a public statement. We believe in second chances, not orchestrated manipulation. Ouch. But Claire? She tried to fight it. She posted a long, crying video on Instagram. This is harassment. He's weaponizing our past. I only ever wanted love and healing. But the comments weren't buying it anymore. Because the receipts were public. The screenshots. The recordings. The wire transfers. The pattern. Everyone could now see what I had seen in pieces. Madison released a final statement. I was manipulated too. I believed her lies. I defended her. But I won't be complicit anymore. Vanessa filed for full asset protection and successfully froze the accounts Claire was funneling funds into. One of her old girls' trip flights to Tulum. She paid for it using my business credit line. The flight logs were now part of the civil case. Claire tried to sue back. She claimed reputation damage. She tried to paint the divorce as mutual. She even tried to get Jared to testify for her. But Jared had already flipped. He gave a signed statement. Said Claire lied about everything, even about being abused. He felt used, humiliated, and admitted she'd pressured him into silence. She told me to say she was healing. But she was just hunting for a bigger paycheck. At this point, even Claire's own family began to distance themselves. Her sister unfollowed her. Her aunt removed her name from the family trust. A cousin tweeted, "I always thought she was toxic, but I didn't know it was this deep." For the first time in Claire's life, the spotlight hurt. She couldn't twist the narrative anymore. The world wasn't listening to her sob story. It was watching a real-time fall from grace. And this time, the applause wasn't for her. Claire once described her life as a modern fairy tale. She even said it during her TEDx talk. "I broke free from the prince who locked me in a tower and built my own kingdom." That line used to make people cheer. Now, it made people cringe. Because it wasn't freedom she wanted. It was control. And when the narrative broke, so did her kingdom. Within 2 weeks of the gala, her social media accounts were flooded with backlash. Major media outlets labeled her as the artist who cried victim. A documentary crew canceled a planned feature. Sotheby's pulled her pending auction piece. And that wasn't even the worst part. The IRS came knocking. Turns out, her self-funded healing retreats and art therapy tours had no formal accounting. And the shared business account she rated? It linked back to 2 of my LLCs. Claire wasn't just exposed. She was under federal investigation. She tried to reach out, one last desperate email. "We used to love each other. Do you really want me destroyed?" I didn't reply. Not because I wanted revenge anymore. Because I had moved on. Madison got a job at a major publication. Vanessa was building her own firm. Jared? Last I heard, he'd moved to Oregon and started therapy. As for me, I launched a platform called Truth, Frame. It focused on protecting people from weaponized storytelling. Helping real victims defend themselves from manufactured ones. We gained traction fast. Sponsors, subscribers, testimonials. People wanted the truth again. And that photo book I made Claire for our anniversary? I turned it into a visual guide. A digital exhibit titled Gaslight, a Love Story. It went viral. Claire's name still trended sometimes. Usually next to the word cautionary tale. The same woman who once lived for the spotlight now couldn't step into daylight. Her fairy tale? Burned to ash. Closure is funny. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask. It doesn't wait for apologies. Sometimes it just happens when you least expect it. And for me, it came not in courtrooms or headlines. But one rainy Thursday, sitting in a half-empty cafe in downtown Seattle, a woman sat across from me. She looked nervous, clutching a worn sketchbook. "You're Daniel?" she said softly. I nodded. She opened the sketchbook. Inside were dozens of portraits. Rough, emotional. All of Claire. Falling. Breaking. Screaming. Alone. She used to come to our support group. Told us lies about her ex-husband. We believed her. I drew these before I found out who she really was. She slid the sketchbook to me. "You don't have to forgive her. But you should know. Even in her new lies, she couldn't escape you." I never saw Claire again. She disappeared from the city. Rumors said she moved abroad. Others claimed she changed her name. It didn't matter. Her power was gone. Not because I destroyed her, but because the truth outlasted her story. Truth, Frame became more than a platform. It became a movement. We helped expose false accusations, rebuild lives, and fund defense cases. I spoke at conferences. I told my story not as a victim, but as someone who reclaimed the narrative. People often ask, "Do you ever miss her?" No, They need distance.